you tell us your name and then just tell us your story? I don't know anything about it, so just start from the beginning.
Okay. Well, my name is Barbara Kordiak. I'm the grandmother of Justin Hertl. Justin Hertl was killed by Anaheim PD on November 14th. And they came to my house in Yorba Linda, and they walked up behind him, three ununiformed, plainclothes detectives, and they pulled out guns and they shot him. They killed him.
Wow.
In front of me. Yeah, and then they lied in their reports and said he had a gun. He did not have a gun. I was walking right. I saw his hands.
They said they were reaching for his waist.
I saw his hands as he fell down. He did not have a gun in his hands, but they all said he had a gun, and they put a gun underneath him. And so in the police report, they said they found a gun, but that was a lie. And they just put one little sentence: the grandmother disagrees about the gun, but they never actually asked me about it or questioned me about it. So basically, Anaheim PD murders people, and then they lie about it.
This would be the crime task force. The crime task force?
The crime task force.
They're the officers.
The gang unit. And he wasn't in a gang. He was 23 years old, construction worker.
Family.
Had
two
a family.
children.
Wasn't in a gang. There was, they wanted to ask him some questions, and I know that that's part of their job, but they're not supposed to shoot people down. They're not supposed to execute people on the spot.
Yeah, definitely.
There's due process. If you have questions, let them go through the court system. Let them go through due process. Don't shoot and kill. They're not the judge, jury, and executioner. They lie, and then they murder, and then they lie some more. And that's what's been going on. It started with my grandson, and then they've done we have a list of
What's your grandson's name?
Justin Hertl.
Justin Hertl.
Yeah.
And this happened when?
This was back in November 14 of 2003, and there's now been a lot more murders since then.
Yes, there has.
There's been, Martin's murder and Caesar Cruz, and there's just, I can't even remember all the names. The last two that started the riots, Manuel Diaz and I've forgotten the other.
I was right on the front burner of that.
Yeah,
it wasn't a riot. The police made it one.
They made it one. I was outside that night, and the police bumped into me and shoved me and pushed me, and I didn't dare, do anything back, or they probably would have been handcuffing me and throwing me in jail.
Yeah, and they showed the police kicking vehicles, but they didn't, they didn't show the police hitting people with their vehicles.
Yeah. That was not fair that night. The way I spoke at City Council, the night of the riot, I spoke at City Council, and when I came out of City Council, the street was just lined with people. And the people weren't doing anything, they were just lined with people. They had all these people that were trying to get into the council meeting and couldn't.
Right.
And in the meantime, the police chief calls all these police in from all the other areas, and there was just cops all over the place in battle gear. It was mostly women and children out on the street, and he's got people in battle gear pointing rifles. I mean, it was so inappropriate. It's like, come on.
I know.
He's got women and children, and he's pointing rifles in battle gear. It's like, well, that's certainly fair.
Right.
Wow. Anyway, that's my story.
Well, thank you for being out here.
Is there anything that your family is asking? Any changes or policy changes?
Yes,
or what?
We're asking all of us, and we're all asking for justice in our individual cases. And the mayor has said that there will be an investigation, so that's good. But in addition to that, we're asking for change. We want accountability and transparency so that they can't just hide stuff from us. They have to tell us what's going on. They have to be accountable for their actions. That's what we're really looking for. And I know the police department's being investigated, and when they complete that investigation, I really want to be around to hear the outcome of the investigation and the recommendations. Because I want to be involved in the recommendations. I want to know what they're recommending and be able to have some say about it. And that's why I'm still out here, because I know they're doing an investigation, and I know it takes a long time, but I'm going to be here when they get done, and I want to have some input into it. Because they're wrong. They're just wrong. The brutality, the excessive force, they don't care. They just don't. They're supposed to serve and protect, and they don't. They don't serve and protect. Nobody feels safer because they're around. That's the bottom line. Nobody feels safer because they're around. They need to go back to serving and protecting and doing what they get paid to do. They're not supposed to be murdering people and lying about it and getting promoted and
the one of the detectives that killed him is now a sergeant.
Yeah, one of the guys that killed him is a sergeant.
Wow.
Sergeant Hale, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
so that worked well for him. And then the DA's office is just as bad. You cannot get any information out of the DA's office. The DA's office will not give you, they won't give you anything. They say they're investigating, but they will not give you the results. There's no transparency. They won't tell you what they're finding or why, or they won't tell you anything. There is no transparency. So that's what we're fighting for, change in the police system, and justice in our individual cases.
He shot 23 times.
23 times.
That's one bullet for each year of his life.
Yeah. Yeah. That was not necessary.
A total of 9 bullets all throughout his back.
Yeah.
She could have been shot just as well.
In his back? Wow.
She could have been shot just as well.
I was standing next to him. I was
And
like
the officer that was at the hospital when I went there, I said, "You're the officer that killed him," and he had just a grin on his face. He thought it was so funny. He just thought, he had a grin on his face. That was Hale.
Yeah. And I was standing. Justin had his arm around my shoulder when they started shooting. So obviously, if they put that many bullets in him, they could have killed me. They have no regard for anything else. If they'd killed me, they would have just thought, well, part of the job. So.
Wow. That's terrible.
It is terrible. And our story is just one story of many. There's a lot of people out here that protest, and everyone can tell you about their brother or their nephew or their
what they've done.
Yeah, every one of them can tell you something, what they've gone through. It's just one of many, unfortunately.